Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, in the unprecedented scenario worldwide evolved as a result of outbreak of COVID-19, all spheres of human life are affected in one way or the other. And the cultural activities or cultural life is one of the adversely affected areas. Most of the activities of noted cultural centers all over the world have been suspended for a time being. But at the same time, during this time of mass confinement or lockdown, millions of people are turning towards culture as a source of comfort, well-being, and connection. So as cultural centers, we cannot give up our responsibilities and duties. And that is why Maulana Azad Center for Indian Culture decided to conduct this webinar in connection with celebrating the World Day of Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development, as it was announced by United Nations. The United Nations underlines the significance of celebrating the World Day, citing that 75% of the world's major conflicts have a cultural dimension. And hence, bridging the gap between cultures is urgent and necessary, not only for the peace and stability of each and every region, but also for the growth and development of the world itself. When so-called thinkers like Samuel P. Huntington talked about clash of civilization, the UN is now talking about match of civilization. UN stresses the need of dialogue between cultures. Please note that the culture here is used in its widest sense. Let me look into the theme of the UN World Day from an Indian perspective. In India, the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, ICCR, it's an autonomous body under the Ministry of External Affairs. It spearheads the activities related to its cultural, India's cultural relations with other countries. It was Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, the first Minister of Education, who established ICCR. Interestingly, the aim of ICCR is to foster and strengthen the cultural relations and mutual understanding, and to promote cultural exchange with other countries and peoples. Quote and unquote. ICCR always believes in to promote cultural exchanges with other countries and people, and civilizational give and take, mutual understanding of ideas and ideologies, and the very versatile nature of the civilizational types. It always upholds the motto of unity in diversity. Because the motto of unity in diversity is an inherent sentiment or philosophy of India. Even the song that we enjoyed right now, which was brought out by ICCR, has been titled as United We Fight. The fight against Corona is also perceived as a united effort. Ms. Anju Singh, my colleague in our cultural center has already explained in her presentation how India maintains itself as a land of cultural diversity. 8 millenniums before the rise of the concept of globalization, Indian philosophers and monks propagated the universality of the mankind. This is a concept of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam in Hindu theology, or more specifically Indian tradition, which means the whole world is one great family. The mantra 72 of chapter 6 of Maha Upanishad reads, Ayam bandhurayam nedi ganana laguchedasam udara charidanantu vasudhaiva kudumbakam. Meaning, the distinction like this person or this thing belongs to me and that person or that thing does not belong to me. This kind of thoughts and discriminations are made only by the narrow-minded or ignorant people. For the noble-minded people, the whole world is one great family. When we speak from the Egyptian land, I can cite that the same concept is shared in Islamic scriptures as well. For example, in Surah Hujurat, you can see a verse like this. Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu. O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female and made you in races and tribes that you may know one another. Hindu Dharma also teaches the same concept. In another mantra you can see, Bandhava Manava Sarve Swadesha Bhuvanatrayam. All human beings are brothers and sisters. The earth is the birthplace of all. Buddhism and Jainism, the great religions originated in India, depended totally or propagated totally ahimsa, non-violence. Many a time, it is the acute ignorance and misconception of the people about cultures of others that leads to the hostility towards others. In Arabic, there is a saying, Al-insanu aduwwun lima yajhal. A man could be enemy of what he knows not. Mahatma Gandhi once said, no culture can live alone. No culture can live if it attempts to be excluded. Swami Vivekananda, the great philosopher and the icon of enlightened youth of modern India, compares those who are not willing to know the cultures of others or respect others with a very well-known phrase, Kuba Mantuka, or the frog in a well. A frog inside a well may think that its well is the biggest water resource in the world with its ignorance. And it may also think that what it sees above its head is the exact width of the sky. So it is when the Kubamandukas lead societies, communities, or even the nation states, the attempts are made to put some particular cultures over others, or to sideline or marginalize people following particular culture, faith, language, etc. This kind of activities adversely affects the peace and tranquility of the whole country or that particular region. It creates tensions. This is why United Nations says that 75% of the tensions in the world are related to culture. Here the responsibilities of international cultural centers like the Indian, Korean, Italian and Egyptian ones, whose representatives are present in this dialogue, their responsibilities increase in the way of educating the people about the cultures and civilizations of others, edifying them and transforming them from the state of Kubamandugas to members of Vasudhaiva Kudumbagam by means of ta'aruf, knowing each other. So when we do so, we can uphold the culture and tradition of each of us and at the same time respect or teach respect and recognize the cultures of others. This balanced stand will lead the world from clash of civilization to the match of civilization. So let me conclude my words with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Once he said, "I do not want my house to be walled in from all sides and my windows to be stuffed. I want the culture of all lands to be blown about by my house as freely as possible. But I refuse. I refuse to be blown off my feet by any." So this is the balanced stand. Let me express the gratitude of our center to our distinguished guest, especially Mr. David Scalmani. He is the director of Italian Cultural Institute in Cairo. Mr. Yang Sang-kyun, director of Korean Cultural Center. Mr. Mohammed El Savi, chairman of El Savi Cultural Wheel, and Ms. Anju Singh, teacher of Indian culture from our cultural center. Let me also express my thanks to all participants once again, and if the audience have any doubts, comments or feedback about what we already discussed with all participants, please feel free to write to us in the email provided, which will be redirected to the concerned members of the panel. Thank you all once again. Thank you very much.